Good evening, and welcome to the Town of Stow Select Board meeting for February 13th, 2024. Our first order of business is public comment. You may speak for up to 2 minutes. Please identify yourself. And I see Deb Woods has her hand up. Hi, Deb. Oh, you've got to unmute.
Yeah, she disappeared,
There
right?
we go.
There we go.
This high-tech stuff, Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. In 2022, the annual town meeting of 2022, we heard a presentation and information on the renovation of the Randall Library. And this information included 8,000 gross square feet, as well as 6,500 to 7,000 usable square feet. And this space was going to be for additional programs, meeting space, and staff space. The town approved a total spend of $11.35 million for this, and that, that spend includes the $500,000 grant that we just received. As we know, the construction estimates have come in a little bit higher, about 17% higher. So the library committee, which I applaud, is looking at resizing the design of the building to fit that $11.35 million. But to me, the bottom line is that town residents are no longer getting what they approved. And I think the select board owes the town a few things. One is to ensure all non-redesign work and spending is on hold. And once the redesign is in and all approvals have been received, as well as the construction estimates are in, to take this project back to town meeting and let the town decide whether or not to move forward with the redesign project. I understand money has been spent and decisions have been made, including moving out of the library, but it is the town, not this board and not the library committee, that you should decide whether or not to move forward with the redesign and resize project. Thank you.
Thanks for your comments. Anybody else for public comment? Seeing no hands. Oh, there's a hand. Yes. John?
Hi, my name's John Massia. I live at 153 Harvard Road.
Yeah.
I've been fighting for clean drinking water and safe roads in my community for a number of years now. I'm hoping that y'all can hear me. It's static on my end. My apologies. I came here about a year ago to try to start a conversation. I've still not heard back from anyone. The road conditions between Harvard Road and on Harvard Road between Wedgewood and Cider Mill Roads keep deteriorating with all of the flooding that we're having. Last winter, I had trouble accessing my driveway. I had to chip ice out from the splashing and the refreezing in my driveway of the flooding that goes across sometimes a lane in the road. My neighbors and I have experienced delays in having mail service and having periods of no mail service last winter. And during one snowstorm, because of the icing, the plow trucks hit my stone wall twice last year. The icing and the flooding continues. Last year, I was told that I could call this into the police department because we're still having our bottled water service delivered. Now I'm being told that I can no longer call it into the police department, and we still get ice in front of our driveway that's not being properly managed, which is causing issues for us because I'm still seeing vehicles that are swerving to avoid the ice and the flooding in the road. And I'm still having trouble with, folks who are driving vehicles and they're having trouble stopping in front of my driveway safely, and they skid to a stop on the ice, whether they're picking things up or dropping them off in my home. I'm asking for the town to let me know what I'm supposed to do now that I can't call this into the police anymore, because it's hazardous to see a vehicle skid to a stop in front of my driveway. Sometimes they overshoot the driveway. I'm asking what's going to be done because I don't see other residents in similar situations having to live with these road hazards. I feel that this has gone on for long enough, and I'm asking the town to know what the plan is to address, the flooding, the icing, and the drainage issues on our road. And I had also sent an email asking that a sign be put up, just warning people that there's ice on the road. And I haven't heard back or seen a sign put up since my email back in December. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you for your comments. I'll just say that the board doesn't necessarily respond to public comment when given, but it is noted, and we're we're grateful that folks come and speak what's on their mind. Any other public comment this evening?
You have a Jonathan with a hand raised.
Jonathan.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you please identify yourself fully?
This is Jonathan Daisy. We're in the building and we're doing this live the way we usually do. The only problem is we can't see the closed captions. Can you turn those on? Or
They are on, Jonathan.
Oh well, there's some technological problem. We're not getting them. All right, never mind. That was my whole public comment.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Why aren't I getting the public comment?
Okay. Board member comments this evening. Seeing none, how about a town administrator's report?
Yes, thank you. All right. Excuse me. Last month, we received notice that we were awarded 2 more state grants. One is to improve our cybersecurity, and one is for the Municipal ADA Improvement Grant Program. That second grant will allow us to have an ADA assessment conducted in our buildings so that we can, excuse me, make our buildings more accessible and to meet ADA requirements. I want to thank Ashley Pinard, our Procurements and Grants Administrator, for getting these applications filed and being successful on these 2 latest grants. Yesterday, we had a community open house at Pompo to discuss the future of the North Course of Stow Acres. This was a great opportunity for us to collect feedback on what folks would like to see at the property. And the information will be used to guide the committee through the final stages of the master planning process. I would like to thank everyone who came out that asked questions, offered feedback, and just were interested in knowing more about the project. It was a very successful but long day, but I appreciate everyone coming out to that. We have been receiving a lot of questions around the Bose property. What we have been informed is Bose are no longer maintaining or plowing their property, and it has become a liability. They put up no trespassing signs, but people have disregarded those and are continuing to walk and access the property. Therefore, they have installed a fence. We have been made aware that there is a potential sale of the property scheduled for next month, and we will have more information at that time. So for people that are speculating, there is nothing out there that is definitive. We've been told that both sides are keeping quiet until an actual sale goes through. So the rumors that are still out there are just rumors. I ask folks not to pay attention to that. We should have some definitive information mid-March to the end of March. I would like to remind folks that we now offer a shuttle to and from the South Acton train station in our inaugural week. Unfortunately, no one took advantage of the new service, but we did have one rider just ride it from the fire station, the former fire station, to the train station and back again, just to test out the shuttle and check it out. So that does go every morning, and then makes return trips in the afternoon. The schedule can be found on our website. It will also be appearing in this week's Independent and a larger ad. So for folks that are interested in the shuttle schedule, you can find it there. We are also running a shopping shuttle to and from several apartment complexes in town, to the Stow Plaza, the Maynard Plaza, and the Hudson Commons. And as of last week, we had 6 residents take advantage of that service. So the hope would be, as we progress along, more people will take advantage of it and make use of the grant opportunity that we have. That's it for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. So next we have appointments, several appointments. First, Nick Whalen to the position of equipment operator at the Highway Department. We had a recommendation from Denise in our packet, and it looks like we are lucky to have Nick stepping up for the operator position. Are there any comments from the board?
If I may just add, as I said in my memo, we really had 2 excellent candidates for this. both current employees. I wish we had two positions to offer, but Nick just had more experience in the operator position, which was key to the role we were currently filling. But I really commend both applicants. They did a great job through the interview process. And again, I wish we had more opportunities, but hopefully in the future there will be.
Thank you. I'll take a motion for the appointment of Nick Whalen.
Madam Chair, I move to appoint Nick Whalen to the position of equipment operator for the Highway Department.
Second.
All those in favor, Hector,
Aye.
Ingeborg,
Aye.
JT,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. That's unanimous. Next, we'll appoint Jamie Higgins to the position of laborer for the Highway Department.
Again, I will add we had two excellent internal candidates. Jamie stood out for us as wanting to make this a long-time career. He's excited to grow into this position, and we think he will be a great asset to the Highway Department.
Thank you. That's great. We are lucky.
Yes.
I will take a motion for Jamie Higgins.
Madam Chair, I move to appoint Jamie Higgins to the position of laborer for the Highway Department.
Second.
All those in favor, Hector,
Aye.
Ingeborg,
Aye.
JT,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. That's unanimous. And moving on to the Town Hall Building Reuse Committee, we have two willing members at large so far. Stacen Goldman and Jonathan Daisy.
And they are both on here.
And they're both on here. Stacen and Jonathan, thank you for stepping up, for being willing.
Happy to do it.
Look forward to it.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Or hearing none, I'll take a motion to appoint Stacen and Jonathan to the Town Hall Reuse Committee.
Need to unmute, Hector.
I'm sure many people were happy about that. Should I make this as one motion for both or one
You can.
two
That's
individual?
fine.
Okay. Madam Chair, I move to appoint Stacen Goldman and Jonathan Daisy to the Town Hall Building Reuse Committee through June 30th, 2025.
Second.
All those in favor, Hector,
Aye.
Ingeborg,
Aye.
JT,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. That is unanimous. Thank you for coming
Thank
to
you, you guys.
guys. And
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I look
Thank
forward
you
to
so
working
much.
with you guys.
Us too.
Moving along to the 2024 annual election discussion, the slate of candidates.
And you have the town clerk on.
Yeah,
Hi,
yeah.
in your packet, you had a list of the different, committees and boards where their terms and it's the select board has their 2 3-year terms. Assessors have 1 3-year term, Board of Health, 1 3-year term, Neshoba, 1 3-year term, Housing Authority is 1 5-year term. Randall Library has 2 3-year terms and the planning board is 1 5-year term. And I'm pleased to say that Lori Clark has taken out papers for planning board. Maureen Bush has taken out papers for the library trustees. Maura Sellier has said that she is not running for re-election for one of the library seats. And Marcia Rising has taken out papers for the Board of Health. And Cindy Cummings on the assessors said she's going to take out papers and run again. And I've heard from both Hector and JT. And had I been in the office tonight, I think they would have had their nomination papers tonight. But the storm delayed us. So we're in good stead for getting, getting ready for this election. So And the only other thing I'm going to report is we're in the process. We've sent out over 700 vote by mail ballots and have approximately another 400 that'll go out this week. Again, delayed today because of the weather. And just another bit of trivia is the March 2020 election was the last what I call normal election. It was pre-COVID because just a few short weeks after it, we were in shutdown mode. But that was an election that had in-person early voting and in-person on election day, and then a week actually didn't even have in-person early voting. It was just election day. So I don't know what our turnout's going to be this year based on the what to expect for the vote by mail. But I think we're on target for probably maybe another, let's see, we're at 11, we'll be at 1,100. We might get about another couple hundred by the end, the deadline on February 27th for vote by mail ballots. So
And Linda, you'll be at the board's next meeting to discuss the annual town election?
Yes. And we have the Board of Registrars will meet, and we will have we'll have recommendations about what we'll be doing for a town meeting, whether to do vote by mail or opt into in-person early voting. So we'll have a recommendation for all of you then.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
All right, let's see, we have a vote for the slate of candidates, I believe.
Madam Chair,
That,
I move to approve the following slate of candidates on the ballot for the 2024 annual town election scheduled for Saturday, May 18th, 2024. Board of Assessors, 1 3-year term. Board of Health, 1 3-year term. Neshoba Regional School Committee, 1 3-year term. Planning Board, 1 5-year term. Trustee Randall Library, 2 3-year terms. Select Board, 2 3-year terms. And Stow Housing Authority, 1 5-year term.
Second.
all those in favor, mixing it up, Ingeborg,
Aye.
Hector,
Aye.
JT,
Aye.
and chair votes aye, that's unanimous. Let's see. We get to review and vote on Phoebe's Most Excellent Select Board Annual Report. I am a fan of such a well-written report. Any other comments from the board or questions?
She does a great job.
Yeah, I thought it was excellent. Very detailed and accurate.
Nicely
Very
written.
informative.
Yeah. All right.
Didn't put me to sleep either.
That's important,
Yes.
especially when you're reading the rest of the packet. We can move to vote for that.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the Select Board 2023 Annual Report as drafted.
Second.
All those in favor, JT,
Aye.
Ingeborg,
Aye.
Hector,
Aye.
chair votes aye, that's unanimous. And I understand that the Gleasondale Local Historic District Study Committee has completed their mission.
Not sure if they
Well,
completed the mission. I think they're moving in a different direction. So from the
thank you,
initial,
better put.
yes. So I think from the initial creation of the committee, the members that were remaining are pursuing alternative means of preserving the historic character of Gleasondale Village, and therefore the Gleasondale Local Historic District Study Committee, as it stands now, is no need to continue. So Valerie has requested that the board dissolve that committee formally.
So do we know, are they going to move forward in an informal fashion, or is it not yet clear?
I don't think it's clear yet. I think they're looking at a few different options, a bylaw, a demolition bylaw, delay bylaw, working through the National Historic Register. I think folks are still trying to figure out what direction to go.
Got it. Questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, I think we can move to vote for the dissolution of that committee.
Madam Chair, I move to dissolve the Gleasondale Local Historic District Study Committee.
Second.
All those in favor, Ingeborg,
Aye.
JT,
Aye.
Hector,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. That's unanimous. And we have a conservation restriction ready for Hallock Point. I think we're the last in the chain of approval for that.
Yes, and if I may, Jackie Goring is here on behalf of Conservation to answer any questions or discuss this topic.
Hey, Jackie, thanks for tuning in.
My pleasure. As you see in our memo, the property was protected in 2021, so we're obviously several years into waiting for the state review process. CPEA funds were used for the project, which requires there to be a conservation restriction by a third-party holder, which is going to be the Stow Conservation Trust. Years ago, the CR was submitted to the state for review, and they're very delayed in their process. The Conservation Commission did approve it at their last meeting. You are the next step. Once the select board, if you're willing to approve and sign it, the Stow Conservation Trust then signs, and it's sent to EOEA for the final signatures and get it recorded at the Registry of Deeds. So
Great.
that's what's next.
Well, I think from my understanding of such legal documents that it looks like it is well in order and a thoughtfully written conservation restriction. I look forward to seeing that in place. Any
Us too.
questions? No questions? Let's move to a vote.
Madam Chair, I move to approve and execute the conservation restriction on Hallock Point as presented at this meeting.
Second.
All those in favor, JT,
Aye.
Hector,
Aye.
Ingeborg,
Aye.
and chair votes aye as well. That's unanimous.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hooray.
Thank you. Thanks for all the hard work.
Yeah.
So I would just ask members at your convenience if you could stop by and sign anytime
gonna
over the
be my
next
next
2
question.
weeks. Yeah, we'll have it available in the office.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Jackie. And we have a request for endorsement of the small town administrators of Mass legislative priorities.
Yes, thank you. So as you are all aware, I am the president of the STAM Association for this year. And one of our goals has been to work together as the 100 communities and present one voice to the administration on priorities that we feel are important to small towns. So this is the list that, working through our membership, we have come up with to focus on this year. And we are asking all of our association members to take it back to their boards, have the board support these so that we can then submit them to the legislation and say, you know, on behalf of the membership and the towns that we represent, these are where we would like the administration to focus some energy. Not sure how far it will go, but we do feel that our membership has been increasing and we are being taken more seriously at the state level. And we think it's important that they understand that it's not the same across the 351 municipalities. For instance, the very first one, Chapter 90, we've talked about in the past. Chapter 90 is based on not only road miles, but how many employees across the town employs in general of all businesses. And that's not equitable for towns that have many more road miles, but not as many businesses in town. So we feel that there should be a better rural factor applied for Chapter 90 funding, because some of us have more roads to pave than smaller communities with just a much more business business area. So some of these priorities, the administration has been working on more conceptually, but we want to just ensure that they hear from us and what's important to the smaller towns in the state. So with that, I just ask for your endorsement of these so that we can stand with the other communities and put them forth.
I'm happy to endorse them. I think it's a good list. Seems to be well expressed. Yes, Hector.
Yeah, I'm also happy to endorse them. I just had a couple of questions just for clarification. What benefit does the select board approving this serve? Is it just to give it more weight?
Yes.
And how does it relate to the questions we had been asked earlier about what we thought should be legislative priorities? That was a different report, correct?
So yes and no. So that was, a lot of these were still contained within that. So that was asked from the administration, and then we took that list and then said, of that, these are the ones that are most important to the smaller towns. As I said, they're already looking at some, like the procurement thresholds. That's already a proposal to change those thresholds. So we want to just endorse that. The education funding formulas, I mean, everyone in a regional district recognizes that it's not equitable the way that the state aid is applied and that the budgets can be calculated for regional districts. So it's just another way that we have to put our voice behind specific legislative priorities. Again, I don't know that the administration will do anything with it, but a number of select boards have already signed off so that we can sort of just sign that it's not just me, it's the town of Stow that endorses these as well.
Great.
Ingeborg?
Yeah. Can you just explain a little more about the educational funding formulas? Because I find it to be a real challenge and really a good thing to have pointed out by STAM. So can you just explain that a little more? Not in great detail, but.
Yeah, it's just, so anything that comes regional, we chatted about this a little bit in some other, I think the finance committee meetings. You know, when you have a regional district, first of all, the state many years ago endorsed regionalization and offered that they would pay regional transportation at 100%. That has never happened. The state has never paid fully for regional transportation, even after all these communities said we will do that. So we are still making up for that funding. Also, we feel that if a town has their own school district one-on-one, there's more collaboration with budget process. That number is included in the balanced budget discussion from the get-go. In a regional district, we are given a number and then we have to balance the budget based on their number. They don't fall under the Prop 2.5 guidelines like we have to. So we just feel that there should be more equity when it comes to regional schools, which there are more regional schools across the state, only we have less representation at the administration level because the larger communities have more representatives in their individual districts. So we would just like them to look at, even when it comes to like special ed costs and things like that, the smaller communities just can't cover the same percentages that larger communities can when it comes to offsetting education costs.
That's great. Thank you. Any other questions or comments before we move to a vote? Let's do it.
Madam Chair, I move to endorse the legislative priorities of the Small Town Administrators of Massachusetts, STAM, as presented at this meeting.
Second.
All those in favor, Ingeborg?
Aye.
Hector?
Aye.
JT?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Denise, for all the hats you wear and this one in particular.
Yeah, thank you, Denise.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, moving on at record speed. Any comments on Joyce's most excellent minutes? Well, let's vote to approve them as written then.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the minutes of the, oops, sorry, I lost my page. Sorry, I move to accept the meeting minutes of the January 23rd, 2024 meeting as drafted.
Second.
All those in favor, JT,
Aye.
Hector,
Aye.
and Geborg?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That's unanimous. Do we have any requests to take something from correspondence and place it on a future agenda?
Kind of a bit of a discussion, the whole thing about the climate action plan. As you know, I'm the select board representative for the Green Advisory Committee, and last Thursday was when we last gathered to review the comments that was received by from the residents and other boards and committees. So I should say that the plan that you see that was in the packet is no longer the current plan. Changes have been made, mostly grammatical and spelling and typographical corrections, but there were also a few changes that were proposed that the Green Advisory Committee approved for content. The Green Advisory Committee, some of the members were thinking that if the select board approves it the way it is now, once all the other changes are done, including the chair is currently meeting with the planning board to go over the extensive comments that they had about the plan. If we approve it, what we see, the Green Advisory Committee can just submit the final draft to the designer to add all the graphics and everything and make it look pretty and nicely formatted. And then we'd see a final version before it goes to print. I kind of said, well, hold on a second, because I wasn't sure exactly what is the best process. The Green Advisory Committee was appointed by or commissioned by the Select Board. And I figured the product that the Green Advisory Committee is coming out with is representative of the Select Board and also the whole town of Stow. So I thought that we might want to have final approval of the content before it goes to the graphic designer, because it'll be easier to change anything before that rather than after it goes to the designer.
Certainly
Yeah.
easier for the designer.
And for us, and it'll be
Yeah.
less expensive as well, because it's more work that the graphic designer would need to do once she completes her task, and that's extra expense. So I wanted to bring it back here and say, do we want to have a final draft before it goes to the graphic designer to approve? We can still, as individuals, make comments to what is currently out there, if we want, but I wasn't sure if the board felt that we should just approve the content before it goes to the final draft.
So it's not on the agenda, so we obviously can't vote on that tonight. We can put it on our next agenda, and I'm imagining there isn't any, well, rather than speculate, I would encourage the chair of the Green Advisory Committee to let us know if there's some urgency or some reason why our approval would hold up their process in an undue way.
So there is a bit of urgency just because the Green Advisory Committee has been working on this for a while, and they put in a tremendous amount of work on it and are really anxious to get it out. The hope is that they can incorporate all the changes and have a final draft available for us to review at our next select board meeting. I said I had no idea what the agenda was going to look like. I'm not even sure we'd be able to get to look at it at the next select board, but the committee is going to try and work towards that goal, and hopefully we can, if we decide that we want to have a final say at the final draft, hopefully we can review it at the next board meeting.
It would be, so
I guess I was also just wanting to be clear, is that a process that is needed? Am I throwing a monkey wrench in the works and unnecessarily, or?
Denise, do you have comments?
So a couple things. There's room on the 27th agenda if you wanted to add it. Honestly, I took a different approach. I meet with Arnie and Sharon monthly to discuss the Green Advisory, and we've been focusing on the Climate Action Plan. My feeling was I thought it would be more impactful for you to see the draft after the graphics are done. So if you didn't understand a section, the graphics would help sort of clarify some of that. I felt that this board may have questions, not necessarily changes to the climate action plan that has been done by the Green Advisory members. So I didn't think, maybe a few tweaks here and there if there was just clarification needed. So when I had met with them, I didn't think it was necessary to come before you all before it goes to the designer. But if you all want to see it and review it before, it doesn't really matter how it plays out. I just didn't think you would get that into the weeds that it would affect the data that much. So however you want to proceed is fine with me. There is room on the 27th agenda if you want to add it.
And I would say that I also was telling the committee that maybe the board would approve the content now and then the final draft after it's done, as Denise was saying, after the designer has done her job with it.
So we can't do anything for 2 weeks anyway, and if they come to us with a fully graphic design processed draft, we can look at that and
So they won't do that. They're not going to go forward. And so if you want to see it before, then it would be, they are still taking changes. As Hector mentioned, the planning board and zoning board and planning department put together a lengthy memo with comments and questions. So I think the goal would be to incorporate those. I would expect that the Green Advisory will need to meet, not this Thursday, probably next Thursday would be your next meeting. Is that right, Hector? I think you're every 2 weeks.
We are actually, yes, next Thursday.
Yeah, so then they wouldn't have a draft ready until Thursday anyways to go in your agenda packet for the following week. So I think timing wise, if you wanted to review it, it meets their timeline. And then right after that, they could send it off to the graphic designer, who they expect to have a couple weeks of going back and forth to fine tune their design work.
I think I don't have a strong opinion. I tend to kind of follow what Denise says, and I imagine we're more likely to have questions than changes. This is their work that we commissioned them to do, so to speak. And having done graphic design, I think the fewer fingers in that pie, the better. So let the client deal directly with the designer without having extra folks like us. I guess you're saying, you were saying that, Hector, but if it's, anyway, I think it's fine for the Green Advisory Committee to give us a draft when they want us to see it.
Okay. If the rest of the board feels that way, I can go back to them and say, go forth, send it to the graphic designer. And the Green Advisory Committee's intention was to have the select board approve the final version after it's come out of design.
We as citizens have had the opportunity, I guess, to make comments all along in their comment period. So, any other thoughts? It's getting to be a long discussion whether, so, I think we can put it on the agenda when we're ready. Go ahead.
I think so. I think if the Green Advisories Committee was to have the select board review the final after graphics, let's just be consistent with that. And Courtney's correct that we as individuals have had the opportunity to review it and can provide comments. So I think we should just individually review this ourselves, but wait for the Green Advisories Committee's original schedule. If I got it. At this point, the conversation got so convoluted that I lost it, but that's my opinion, so.
So I think we'll just look for this as a future agenda item when they are ready to present it to us.
Fine, I'll let them know to
And-
just move forward
and-
with.
Yeah, and we can review, I mean, it's nice to have the draft now. I'm grateful for that.
Sounds good.
Do we have any other business this evening?
I did want to mention that I was very impressed with Erin's review of what was going on West Acton Road and her correspondence with the residents. I was very thankful of how she followed up, and thank you so much, Erin, for staying on top of it. And it seems like there was a bit of a resolution to the situation. Hopefully we won't have a 100-year rainstorm again anytime soon to prove it, but
Yes,
thank you a lot for all that work you did.
thank you.
You're here.
I have a question about the Troop 1 issue. Is that going to come before the board again at the next meeting? I mean, there have been some changes. There's been correspondence. We did say we'd get back to them. I was just wondering what our schedule is or what our actions will be.
I had the same concern. My understanding after the last time we spoke about it was that there's really no paved place right now that we could practically give anybody space for storage without taking away needed parking for whether it's events or other reasons. And I was hoping there'd be some way to look at the rest of the property and see if there's any place that could be properly graded and maybe with gravel created as a storage area where the Boy Scouts and Warm Hearts of Stow and whoever else needed could store their containers for a fee.
Well, we
Ricky,
can't discuss it
Yeah,
now, but
Madam Chair,
I was just wondering,
can't really
is it going
discuss
to be on our agenda at some point, or are we just disappearing it?
I think we said we would I said we would table it,
Correct.
and I would like to give a formal response. So we need to put it on the agenda at some future time. It does feel to me as though
You don't have to answer the question now. I was just wondering because they did respond to some of our comments. We've also gotten other correspondence. So I just wanted to make sure that we as a board would be closing this discussion at some point. So,
Yeah.
And
So
that's up to, as long as it's on your burners, that's fine. Good. Okay.
sometime
And my
sometime in the next couple of meetings, depending on the space on the agenda and also any groundwork behind the, offline that we may want to do.
Okay, thank you. I have one more question. The issue with the condition of Harvard Road, has the DPW been made aware of this? Is there something those boards should be doing on that?
Denise?
Well, to not get too far into it, since it's not on the agenda, everyone's made aware of it. We have communicated with Mr. Massia. The highway department goes out almost every day to look at the water situation. A majority of it is a private civil matter between Wedgwood and Mr. Massia. So I think we've done what we can, with the exception of the sign that was requested. And I know the highway superintendent was looking into that. But there's not much more we can do on that matter.
Thank you.
Any further business this evening? Let's have that final motion.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, Ingeborg,
Aye.
JT,
Aye.
Hector,
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank everybody for coming, and good night.
Thank
Enjoy
you
the
all.
pretty
Bye,
snowfall.
bye. Take care.
Be
You
safe in the
too.
blizzard.
Absolutely.